Imagine waking up on Christmas morning to find half your family gone, vanished without a trace, as if swallowed by the night. For the Sodder family, Christmas Eve 1945 was supposed to be a night of joy, laughter, and hope. Instead, it became the beginning of a nightmare that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. 5 children disappeared in a fire that left no remains, no answers, and a mystery that still chills the world to this day. What really happened to the Sodder children? And how far would you go to find the truth if it were your own family? It was Christmas Eve 1945 in the quiet Appalachian town of Fayetteville, West Virginia. The Sodder family home, perched on a hill, was filled with the sounds of laughter, the aroma of Italian cooking, and the warmth of family united. George Sodder, a successful businessman and proud Italian immigrant, had built this house with his own hands, determined to give his 10 children a better life than he'd known in Sardinia. That night, the Sodder children were especially excited. The war was finally over, and the family was together, safe and hopeful for the future. The older siblings, John and George Jr., had returned from work, while the younger ones, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, pleaded with their mother to let them stay up late, playing with new toys and dreaming of Santa's arrival. Jenny, their mother, relented, reminding them to lock up and turn off the lights before bed. She tucked in Sylvia, the youngest, and retired for the night, her heart full. Outside, a gentle snow began to fall, blanketing the town in silence. But as the clock struck midnight, a series of strange events began to unfold. A mysterious phone call roused Jenny from her sleep. A woman's voice asking for someone unknown, followed by laughter and the clinking of glasses. Jenny dismissed it as a prank, unaware that this was just the first sign that something was terribly wrong. As the family drifted off to sleep, the house stood as a beacon of hope and happiness. But within hours, it would become the scene of one of America's most enduring mysteries, a tragedy that would haunt the Sodder family and the world for generations to come. At 1 a.m., Jenny was startled awake by the sharp smell of smoke. She rushed from her bed, heart pounding, and saw flames consuming George's office, where he kept his business records. She screamed for her husband and children, and chaos erupted as the family scrambled to escape. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children, John, George Jr., Marion, and Sylvia, managed to flee into the cold night barefoot and in their night clothes. But the 5 children who had stayed up late were nowhere to be found. The family's frantic shouts went unanswered. Desperate, George tried to re-enter the burning house. He smashed a window, slicing his arm, and called for his children, but the heat and smoke were overwhelming. He raced to the side of the house to grab the ladder, always kept beneath the window, but it was gone. In a panic, he tried to start his trucks to drive them closer and climb to the upstairs window, but neither would start, despite having worked perfectly the day before. Jenny ran to the neighbor's house to call the fire department, but the operator didn't answer. Another neighbor tried from a nearby tavern, but the call didn't go through. It took hours for the volunteer fire department to arrive, led by Chief F.J. Morris, who was reportedly unable to drive the fire truck and had to wait for others. By the time help arrived, the Sodder home was a smoldering ruin. The family huddled together, devastated and numb, as the first light of Christmas morning revealed the full extent of their loss. But as the ashes cooled, a new horror emerged. There was no sign of the 5 missing children. Not a single bone, not a scrap of clothing, nothing. In the days that followed, the official explanation was swift and simple. The 5 children had perished in the fire, their remains consumed by the flames. But George and Jenny refused to accept this. The fire, they argued, had burned for only 45 minutes, hardly long enough to completely incinerate 5 bodies. Even the family's kitchen appliances were recognizable in the rubble. The fire chief, F.J. Morris, claimed to have found a few small bones and some internal organs, but later admitted he had simply buried them at the scene, fearing to upset the family. When the site was later excavated, nothing was found. A local crematorium owner told the Sodders that bones remain even after bodies are burned at much higher temperatures for much longer. Strange details began to surface. The family's phone line had been cut, not burned, and the missing ladder was found tossed in a ditch 75 feet away. A neighbor reported seeing a man stealing a block and tackle from the property the night of the fire. Another neighbor saw a car parked along the highway, its occupants watching the house burn. Even more chilling were the stories of a mysterious stranger who had visited the house weeks earlier, asking about work and pointing to the fused boxes, ominously saying, "This will cause a fire someday." George, outspoken in his anti-Mussolini views, had also received threats from other members of the local Italian community. Rumors swirled. Some believed the children had been kidnapped by the mafia, either as retribution or to force George's silence. Others whispered of a cover-up or a botched rescue attempt gone wrong. The Sodders were left with more questions than answers, and a growing sense that something sinister had happened that night. Refusing to accept the official story, George and Jenny launched a tireless search for their missing children. They scoured the country for leads, placing ads in newspapers and hiring private investigators. They traveled to New York after a woman claimed to have seen the children with an Italian family. They followed every tip, no matter how far-fetched. The family erected a massive billboard along Route 16, displaying the children's faces and offering a $5,000 reward for information. The billboard became a local landmark, a symbol of the Sodders' unyielding hope and determination. For decades, it stood as a silent plea for answers. Over the years, the Sodders received dozens of tips and alleged sightings. A woman in Charleston claimed to have seen the children peering from a passing car as the house burned. Another tip came from a hotel in Charleston, where a woman said she saw 4 of the children with 2 Italian men and 2 women, speaking Italian and refusing to let the children speak. In 1967, more than 20 years after the fire, Jenny received a mysterious envelope postmarked from Kentucky. Inside was a photograph of a young man in his 20s, with features strikingly similar to Louis Sodder. On the back was a cryptic note. Louis Sodder, I love Brother Frankie. Illo boys, a 90132 or 35. The family hired a private detective to investigate, but he vanished without a trace. Despite heartbreak and dead ends, the Sodders never gave up. Jenny wore black every day, mourning her lost children. George spent his life saving, searching for them, haunted by the belief that they were still alive, somewhere. The Sodder family fire became one of America's most enduring unsolved mysteries, a story passed down through generations. The family's relentless search inspired books, documentaries, and countless theories, but no definitive answers. Jenny Sodder died in 1989, still wearing black, her heart broken but her hope undimmed. George had passed years earlier, never knowing what happened to his children. The surviving Sodder siblings and their descendants continue to seek the truth, determined to honor the memory of their lost brothers and sisters. The case remains open, the file gathering dust in the Fayetteville police archives. The iconic billboard stood for nearly 40 years, a testament to a family's love and a community's unanswered questions. Even today, people visit the site, leaving flowers and prayers for the missing children. The Sodder story is more than a tale of tragedy. It's a story of resilience, of a family's refusal to let go, and of the enduring power of hope. Was it a tragic accident, a calculated kidnapping, or something even darker? The truth remains elusive, hidden in the shadows of history. But one thing is certain. The Sodder family's love for their missing children has never faded. Their story continues to captivate and haunt, a reminder that some mysteries are never truly forgotten, and that hope can endure even in the face of unimaginable loss. If you have any information, or if this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and help keep the memory of the Sodder children alive. Sometimes, the only thing stronger than tragedy is hope.
Like and subscribe.